Okay, so next we'll talk about insulin preparation. So as such, traditionally we have got three insulin preparation, which are short acting, intermediate acting and long acting. But previously it was said that we had only two types of insulin preparation, that is short acting and long acting. Okay, so first one is short acting and second one is long acting. Okay, it was the thing short acting and long acting. Quickly I should write the examples. For short acting we have got regular insulin, okay, regular insulin. And for long acting we have got insulin zinc suspension, zinc suspension, to which we also called lente. We have got ultra lente and semi lente. And second example is neutral protamine hecdon, that is NPH insulin, or it is also known as isophane insulin. Okay, so basically these two are the conventional insulin, regular as well as this lente and NPH. These are conventional insulin. But recently we have developed a newer insulin, and some of them are even shorter acting than regular insulin, or faster and longer acting than this lente insulin. Okay, and these insulin are slight modification of a normal insulin or human insulin, so they are known as insulin analogs. Okay, so these two are the category of conventional insulin. Okay, and whereas we have got a recently newer developed insulin, which are kind of slight modification of human insulin, like will make human insulin by recombinant DNA technology, and will have some modification in their amino acid to form insulin analogs. Okay, to which we call it as insulin analog. These are conventional insulin. We have got next insulin analogs. Insulin analogs, and these insulin analogs, some are even shorter acting than this regular insulin, and even longer acting than this long acting insulin. Okay, so therefore we have got in insulin analogs, like they are, as I told you, they are prepared by slight modification of human insulin, therefore they are known as insulin analog. And these insulin analogs may have same 51 amino acid like a normal insulin, but their position may be changed or some new amino acid may be introduced, but they work like a insulin, so they are known as insulin analogs. And we have got insulin analog, in that we have got rapid acting insulin. Rapid acting insulin. So rapid acting insulin means their onset of action is more quicker than short acting, and they are also even shorter acting than the short acting, so we can say it as rapid acting or ultra short acting. Okay, so examples are insulin lispro, next insulin aspart, and lastly insulin glulisin. Okay, so this is rapid acting insulin, or you can also say it at ultra short acting. Okay, ultra short. So we have got short acting and we have got ultra short acting. Okay, so these are rapidly acting insulin. Next we have got long acting also. Long acting, they are acting longer than these long acting insulins, so therefore these long acting insulin is been name is replaced by intermediate acting insulin. Okay, so intermediate acting insulin is the lente insulin and isophane insulin, whereas example for long acting insulin are insulin glargine, and insulin determine. Okay. So we have got conventional insulin, that is short acting and intermediate acting. Next we have got insulin analog, which are rapid acting, also known as ultra short acting and long acting insulin. Okay. Next, another important thing that you should know with regard to these insulin are, all of these insulin should be given via the subcutaneous route. But this regular insulin, apart from subcutaneous route, it can be also given via the intravenous route. Okay, so this is an extra feature of regular insulin. It can also be given via intravenous route, and this regular insulin, it is a drug of choice in case of diabetes ketoacidosis. Okay. Next, and another important thing is regarding the pH. All these insulin, the conventional as well as the insulin analogs, all these insulin have got a neutral pH, except insulin glargine, which have got an acidic pH. So its pH is always less than 4. Okay. Now, what is the importance of this pH means, we are usually giving insulin to patients in combination. Okay, in combination we are giving, and as all these insulin are neutral in pH, we should never mix a neutral pH insulin with an acidic pH insulin, that is insulin glargine, because when you mix a neutral pH insulin with an acidic pH insulin, means some kind of drug interaction may be take place, incompatibility may be takes place, so that the insulin will become ineffective, it won't be able to produce its action. Okay, so for this reason insulin glargine should never be mixed with any other insulin. Apart from this, another important thing is regarding this long acting insulin is, long acting insulin, they are also known as peakless insulin. Peakless insulin. Okay, so both this insulin glargine and insulin determine, they are also known as peakless insulin, and the reason is that when we give these long acting insulin subcutaneously, they will stay in the subcutaneous area, and very slowly the monomers are released into the blood, so they will never attain the peak in the plasma, and so therefore they always be known as peakless insulin. So what is the advantage of not attaining the peak plasma level is that because they are not suddenly coming into the blood, so there is very low risk of causing hypoglycemia. So as compared to all other insulin, these peakless, these long acting insulin have got a lower risk of producing hypoglycemia. Okay, so hypoglycemia is another or you can say it is a major adverse effect of these insulin, but it won't occur with the long acting insulin, because there is no peak plasma level attained by this long acting insulin. Very slowly the insulin is being released into the blood circulation. And this problem of hypoglycemia, it can be treated by simple patient education, simple patient counseling, like whenever any patient is consuming insulin, so better he should not skip any meal, and always that patient should carry some amount of glucose or sugar or chocolate with him, so that whenever he feels that like that blood glucose level is falling, then immediately he should consume the glucose, so that an euglycemic condition is being maintain. Okay, so this is about all these insulin preparation, and one by one we'll discuss about all this preparation. So first, starting with the regular insulin. Okay, so we'll start with regular insulin, which is a short acting insulin, or you can say it is also a conventional insulin. Okay, regular insulin. Now regarding a regular insulin, it is a kind of buffered neutral pH solution, neutral pH solution of unmodified insulin, and this insulin is then it is when stabilized with zinc. So whenever we are giving an injection of regular insulin, so it will be it will be in the form of aggregate of 6 insulin molecule. Like suppose this is a zinc ion, and surrounding to this zinc ion will be 6 molecules of insulin. 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. Okay, so 6 we call it as a hexamer. Okay, so at a concentration of injection solution, the insulin molecules, they will self aggregate themselves to form a hexamer around the zinc ion. And then after giving this subcutaneous injection, slowly these monomers will be released, or it will be diluted for absorption. Okay, so the peak action, it is usually reached after 2 to 3 hours, and this peak action will be continued up to 6 to 8 hours. Okay, so this is about the regular insulin. Now suppose we have got a patient who is consuming regular insulin. Supposedly at 1 p.m. the person has consumed regular insulin, and at 5 minutes past 1 p.m. the person consumes food. So what will happen? The response for this is there will be an early postprandial hyperglycemia, which is followed by late postprandial hypoglycemia. Okay, so what is this? Postprandial means after food, after consuming food, that condition is known as postprandial. Before consuming food, empty stomach is known as fasting condition. Okay, so postprandial means after consuming food is the postprandial. Now at 1 p.m. the person has consumed regular insulin, and at 5 minutes past 1 p.m. the person has consumed food. So what will happen? This regular insulin, the peak action should occur after 2 to 3 hours, and even for onset of action itself, it may require almost 1 hour. Okay, so immediately after 5 minutes of taking insulin, if the person is consuming food, then what will happen? Yes, because of food, all the glucose, all the nutrients will be spread into the blood circulation, so blood will be rich in glucose. Okay, and the insulin is yet not initiated its action. Okay, for onset of action it requires around 1 hour. So because of this food, there will be early postprandial hyperglycemia, and after 1 hour the insulin will start producing its action to produce hypoglycemia, that is late postprandial hypoglycemia. So what is the solution for this? The solution is, if you want to consume food at 1 p.m., better you take the regular insulin at 12 noon, so that after 1 hour the insulin will start producing its action. Okay, so that there won't be any mismatch between the need and the availability of the insulin. Okay, so this thing we should get to know after consuming the regular insulin. Next, our next insulin preparation is the intermediate acting insulin, and the first one is the insulin zinc suspension, also known as Lente. Okay, so second one, that is the intermediate acting insulin, is the insulin zinc suspension, also known as Lente. Okay, so the thing that you should know about this is, we have got two types of zinc insulin and zinc suspension. Okay, this is first step, this is the second type. We have got two types of insulin zinc suspension. The first type is, it have got a large particle size. Next, it is crystalline in nature, and it is practically insoluble in water. Okay, so this kind of insulin zinc suspension is known as ultra lente. Okay. Next, the another type of this combination of zinc insulin suspension is it have got a small particle size. Next, it is amorphous in nature and it is also known as semi-lente. Okay, so we have got two kinds of insulin zinc suspension. One is ultra lente and another one is semi lente. So what we are doing is we are taking 7 parts of ultra lente and we are taking 3 parts of semi lente. So we are making a ratio of 7:3 and this 7:3 ratio will form the lente insulin. Okay, that's it. This is about the lente insulin. So after lente insulin or insulin zinc suspension, another type of intermediate acting insulin is the neutral protamine hagedon, also known as isophene insulin. So we shall check out about this. Isophene insulin, or also known as neutral protamine hagedon. So what is this? We shall check out now. So suppose this is insulin molecules. Okay, this is insulin molecules, and to these insulin molecule a sufficient quantity of protamine is added so that it will be completely complexed with the insulin, so that neither insulin nor protamine is available in the free form. Okay, so what we are doing, to the insulin molecule protamine is added in just sufficient quantity so that all the insulin molecules are being complex and neither insulin nor protamine is available in the free form. Okay, this is one thing, complexing. Another thing is it should be maintained at a neutral pH. So we are talking about the neutral protamine. Okay, so we are adding protamine so that all the insulin molecules are complex, plus we should maintain a neutral pH. Later on what will happen? Next to this is when we are giving this, suppose this complex we are giving via the subcutaneous injection, means this complex will then dissociate to form protamine differently and then insulin, both will get dissociated and slowly it will yield an intermediate duration of action. But the problem with this isophene insulin is the time course of absorption and intensity of action of the NPH is inconsistent. So therefore what we are doing, we are giving a combination of isophene insulin. It is given in combination with regular insulin. So a combination of 70:30 and even 50:50 combination are been available to produce a required action, and this combination is usually injected twice daily before breakfast and before the dinner. Okay, so this is about the neutral protamine and we have completed the conventional insulin preparation. Next we'll talk about the insulin analogs. Okay, so we'll talk about now the insulin analogs, in which we have got rapid acting and long acting. So insulin analogs. So for forming insulin analog, first of all we require a human insulin. So nowadays human insulin is being synthesized by recombinant DNA technology. Okay, we have got various methods. It was since 1980 the human insulin were being produced by recombinant DNA technology with the help of E. coli as well as with the help of yeast. And after forming this human insulin, we can form all these insulin analogs. So first of all, we'll check out how insulin Lispro is being formed. So first of all, talking about the insulin Lispro. Which is the rapid acting insulin. Insulin Lispro. So what happens over here is, suppose this is chain B consisting of 30 amino acid and this is chain A consisting of 21 amino acid. Okay, disulfide bridges. Okay, next what happens over here is, on the chain B, the 28 amino acid and 29 amino acid we should check out. On the 28th amino acid, the amino acid is proline, whereas on the 29 number the amino acid will be lysine. Okay, this is a normal human insulin. Now what happens in insulin Lispro, these two things are interconverted, means in insulin Lispro the 28 number is given for lysine, whereas the 29 number is given for proline. Okay, this mainly occurs in the B chain. Okay, so normally in human insulin, a 28 number proline is present and a 29 number lysine is present. But in case of insulin Lispro, on the chain B, at 28 number lysine is present and at 29 number proline is present. Okay, so we are interchanging. Okay, instead of lysine at 29 proline is present and at 28 instead of proline lysine is present. That's it. This is about the insulin Lispro. So this insulin Lispro, this kind, it forms a weak hexamer that dissociates rapidly after subcutaneous injection, resulting in a quick and more defined peak as well as short duration of action. So it is mainly injected 0 to 20 minutes before meal. Alright. So this is about the insulin Lispro. See, the name only is saying Lispro. Lis is for lysine, pro is for proline. So we are just interchanging it. That's it. So this is about the insulin Lispro. The next insulin in our countdown is insulin aspart. So you should think that aspart means something is related to aspartic acid. So we should check out what exactly it is. So second one is the insulin aspart. Now again we'll draw a normal human insulin. Chain B, chain A. Chain B consists of, yes, how many amino acid? 30. Chain A consists of 21 amino acid. Interconnecting sulfide bond and disulfide bridges. Okay. Now you say, what is the amino acid on chain B at 28 number? Yes. Which amino acid is present on the chain B at 28 number? Yes, over here only you can see it is proline, isn't it? Over here, suppose here is the 28 number, so here on the 28 number at B chain is the amino acid proline. Now you only think this proline has been replaced by, yes, by aspartic acid. Okay, so this proline is being replaced by aspartic acid. That's it. So it is insulin aspart. So in insulin aspart, basically what happens in the human insulin, the 28 amino acid number should be proline and it is been replaced by aspartic acid. So this chain reduces the tendency for self-segregation or self-aggregation, and a time action profile similar to the insulin Lispro is being obtained, and moreover it more closely mimics the physiological insulin release pattern after a meal. So this is about the insulin aspart. So you can see name only says everything. Now we have done with insulin lispro and insulin aspart. Next will be insulin glulicin. So we write over here. Third one of ultra short or rapidly acting insulin is the insulin glulicin. Now again, a normal human insulin consists of chain B of 30 amino acid, chain A of 21 amino acid, interchain disulfide bond, intrachain disulfide bond. Okay. Now what happens over here is, on the chain B, suppose this is the 23 number of amino acid and this is 29th amino acid. So normally in human being, the 23 number of amino acid on chain B, it mainly consists of asparagine, and at 29 you only think and say whether it is written on this paper. Yes, on the 29 number will be your lysine. Okay. Now you can say over here glulicin means something is from glue. Glue is for glutamic acid and lysine is for lysine. Okay. So what happened over here is, on the 23rd number of amino acid on chain B, asparagine, it is been replaced by lysine. Okay. Obviously, because lysine cannot be converted into lysine, so no issue of confusion. Asparagine is been replaced by lysine, whereas on the 29th number of amino acid on B chain, the lysine is been replaced by glutamic acid. So very simple, insulin glulicin or glulicin for remembering. Okay, so this is about the insulin glulicin. So the property and advantage of this insulin is similar to that of insulin lispro. So we have completed our rapidly acting or ultra short acting insulin, which are nothing but the insulin analogs. Next we'll talk about the long acting or peakless insulin, which are insulin glargine and insulin detamir. Okay, so this long acting insulin, first of the long acting insulin is the insulin glargine. Insulin glargine. Okay, so any amino acid is starting from GL and something is argine, maybe arginine. Okay, now we'll check out what happens in insulin glargine. Same, our human insulin, chain B of 30 amino acid, chain A of 21 amino acid, interchain disulfide bridge, intrachain disulfide bridge. Now what happens over here is, the B chain already have got 30 amino acid, but an additional 2 additional amino acid are been added, and those additional amino acid are the arginine residues. Arginine residues. So argine is for arginine residues. So 2 extra amino acid is present on the B chain. That means insulin glargine is not a 51 amino acid insulin, but it is a kind of 53 amino acid kind of insulin. Apart from this, on the chain A, at the 21 position, as such, asparagine is present as such in the normal human insulin, and in insulin glargine at 21 number of chain A, asparagine, it is been replaced by something starting with GL, that is glycine. That's it. This is the insulin glargine. So what happens in insulin glargine? 2 additional amino acid, which is the arginine residues, is been added to the B chain, plus on the A chain at 21 number, asparagine is been replaced by glycine. Now we know that this insulin glargine, here only I have told you, the importance of insulin glargine, it has got an acidic pH, that is pH is less than 4. So this insulin glargine is basically, it is soluble at pH 4, and it will form a precipitate at neutral pH. Okay, and moreover, since it is an long acting insulin, so we are mainly preferring it to give once daily. Okay, so this is about the insulin glargine. And the last insulin of our insulin analog or insulin preparation as well is the insulin detemir. Okay, so this is the last one. Insulin detemir. Now what happens over here is, yes, again our human insulin, chain B 30 amino acid, chain A 21 amino acid. What else is there? Interchain disulfide bridge, intrachain disulfide bridge. Now over here on the chain B, at the 26th number will be the amino acid lysine. Now to this lysine amino acid, something is attached, some fatty acid is attached, and the name of that fatty acid is myristoyl radical. Myristoyl radical. Okay, so this free fatty acid is attached to the lysine, which is present on the chain B at 26th position. Okay, now what is the advantage of this myristoyl radical is that whenever we consume such kind of insulin determer that contains a fatty acid, that is myristoyl radical, so after subcutaneous injection, what will happen? Because of this free fatty acid, it will it will just go and bind with the albumin. Okay, it binds to the albumin, and then from this free form of insulin is been released very slowly, because of which this insulin determer is said to be a long acting insulin. But this insulin determer should be taken twice daily, whereas in case of insulin glargine, it should be taken once a day, but it can be taken twice daily. Okay, so what is happening over here? Because of an extra free fatty acid, that is myristoyl radical, has been attached to the insulin at the B chain to the lysine at position number 26. So what is happening over here? Because of this myristoyl radical, it will very profoundly bind with the plasma protein, that is albumin, and then we know that what is the nature of plasma protein. From the plasma protein, slowly the drug will be released, making it a long acting insulin. Okay, so this is about the insulin determin, and this was about all these insulin preparation. We had discussed about the conventional as well as the insulin analog. Okay, so in conventional, before it was short acting and long acting, but later on the long acting is now said to be intermediate acting. Okay, it is no more long acting, it is an intermediate acting, that is lente insulin and isoflurane insulin. These are long acting, whereas the insulin analogs are rapid acting, also known as ultra short acting, and another one is long acting. Okay, so this is all about the insulin preparations.